Hello, everyone. Today we're going to continue our look with tobacco, and we want to look at, first of all, warning labels. All right. Why were warning labels put on tobacco products? And I can guarantee you that the tobacco companies did not want this. But basically, in 1969, Congress passed the Public Law Cigarette Smoking Act, which prohibited cigarette advertising on television, radio, and required that each cigarette package contain the label warning the Surgeon General has determined that cigarette smoke is dangerous to your health. It's obviously changed a lot since then because when you look at the wording of this, it basically makes it seem that it could cause a problem. The types of problems that tobacco cause are now listed, and in some other countries, for a case in point, the warning labels in some of these countries will put graphic pictures on the cigarettes package. And again, the tobacco companies don't want this. They obviously that's not a good selling point. Um, so this is through a lot of research, but basically, the tobacco companies knew for a long, long time that their product was dangerous, yet they refused to acknowledge that. And they would do neat things like what we saw in the last lesson, advertise on the Flintstones to really market to kids, because again, they know that by age 18 if somebody hasn't smoked, then chances are they won't. The next thing we want to do is we want to really take a good look at nicotine. Now, I mentioned that a little bit in last lesson, but basically, nicotine is a stimulant, and stimulants are basically a drug that will increase the activity of the nervous system. In smokers, nicotine will enter the blood mainly through the lungs. In smokeless tobacco, the users nicotine will enter the blood through the lining of the mouth or the nose. Now, a little side note with chewing tobacco, there is fine grain fiberglass particles that are put in that so it can cut the opening of the skin so the nicotine can get into the system much faster. All right. To me, that's kind of like dirty pool. All right. And again, a lot of people aren't aware that chewing tobacco will have really harsh things in it that will cut the lip a little bit to be able to get that nicotine in. Once in the blood, nicotine reaches the brain within seconds. There, it takes the place of certain neurotransmitter chemicals that send signals between cells. By mimicking these neurotransmitters, nicotine affects breathing, movement, learning, memory, mood, and appetite. Nicotine belongs to a family of compounds called alkaloids and occurs naturally in several varieties of plants, including tomatoes and potatoes, but is found at the highest level in the tobacco plant. The plant produces nicotine as an insecticide. And again, a lot of people don't know that this is that nicotine happens in nature. But here's the side point: even though it happens in things like tomatoes and potatoes and even zucchini, we don't smoke those things. So when we smoke tobacco, we get nicotine into our bodies a different way. On top of the fact, tobacco companies now are lacing cigarettes with even more nicotine, making it more addictive. Some of the short-term effects: headaches, nervousness, and trembling as soon as 30 minutes after the last tobacco use, increased respiration and heart rate, dulled taste buds, and reduced appetite. Um, Another thing is because the brain isn't fully developed, teenagers are more likely to become addicted. And again, last lesson I mentioned 18. A person, if they haven't smoked, chances are they will not smoke after 18. So it's kind of a race against time for the tobacco companies to really market to the kids. Long term effects include chronic bronchitis, emphysema, lung cancer, and chronic heart disease. When we look at tolerance and dependence, Basically, tolerance is a process in which the body needs more of a drug to get the same effect. Physical dependence is a type of addiction in which the body itself feels a direct need for drugs. The craving that results from physical dependence can only be satisfied by more nicotine. Psychological dependence is an addiction in which the mind sends the body a message that it needs a drug. Certain events or situations and habits trigger a desire to use tobacco. So somebody would only smoke one cigarette, but when they smoke that cigarette after dinner on a continuous basis, that will be more of a psychological more than physical because it's a habit that a person does in their daily routine. One of the nasty sides of addiction is withdrawal. Withdrawal is a process that occurs in the body when it needs nicotine, an addictive drug is no longer used. Symptoms of nicotine withdrawal include headaches, irritability, difficulty sleeping, inability to concentrate, and intense nicotine cravings. Withdrawal effects may begin as soon as 30 minutes after the last dose of nicotine. And again, when we talk about withdrawal, always associate that word with discomfort, pain, and just a very uncomfortable feeling a person goes through because their body's used to that chemical. Bottom line is don't get addicted to anything so you don't experience tolerance and addiction and withdrawal. Things that are produced now to help smokers try to stop smoking are called nicotine replacement therapy. NRT products take a number of forms: gums, transdermal patches, nasal spray, oral inhaler, and a tablet. Transdermal patch is a slow sustained release form of nicotine delivery. Other products like gum, nasal spray, and oral inhaler, and a tablet um, are acute dosing forms of nicotine. The best thing to do is not start using tobacco in the first place. Uh, Basically, these products, what they do is they start you on a larger dose of nicotine and then gradually wean you off. So eventually, you'll lose the urge or the temptation or the addiction of nicotine. Many times, these kind of things don't work. Terms you need to know of smoking: secondhand smoke, basically smoke that is released in the air. This is sometimes called environmental tobacco smoke or ETS. Side stream smoke is the smoke that comes directly from the end of a burning cigar, pipe, or cigarette. Mainstream smoke, that is exhaled from the smoker. Side stream smoke and mainstream smoke make up secondhand smoke. A new term that was recently kind of introduced is called third hand smoke. And basically, third hand smoke is the residual contamination left from the burning tobacco that settles on clothing, furniture, and upholstery. And yes, over a period of time, science has studied, can this cause cancer? Yes. A passive smoker is a non smoker who breathes in secondhand smoke. 25% of all lung cancer cases occur from passive smokers because they're continually in an environment of smoke and so forth. Just a couple final points here. The tobacco companies have lost ways that they can advertise to teens. There are still ways companies can influence teens. Point of sale promotions, which are advertising campaigns in which a product is promoted at a store checkout counter. And again, it will draw attention to a product of that particular product to people that are walking out. And again, a lot of these are at eye level that will catch the people in the store much easier than if it's lower or higher instead of the eye level. Social media platforms, and this is kind of a relatively new thing in our society. Social media plays a very prominent role. Influencers on social media who reach and engage children and adolescents are invited by these industries um, to serve as brand ambassadors and offer financial incentives to promote their product. And again, are they going to say some falsehoods? Absolutely. All right, they're going to make it seem that the product is safe, and some of the things that are discussed in class and in the media, they'll try to disprove. Another point is actors using a product in a movie. Case in point, in Jurassic Park, Samuel L. Jackson's character smoked like a chimney during the movie. And in some instances, you will have products that are placed in a scene that the companies will pay for those actors to either use or consume. In this case, it was cigarettes. Once again, thank you for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed it.